Hey, it's TB Wahi, Black Living Room Talk, coming back to finish race and descent as social categories in India. When I left off, I was talking about the DMK, the characteristics of it, and going right into India's tribal population. India's tribal population, over 30 million people, enjoys a certain special legal and political status in the country. The tribal population is by no means homogeneous, but sharply divided regionally, culturally, and racially. In the past, the tribes were not only fragmented, but lent themselves to slow, continuous absorption into Hindu society. This tendency has today been reversed to some extent, being replaced in part by a conscious effort to create and organize a separate tribal identity in order to achieve certain economic and political objectives. The roots of pan-tribalism go back to the 19th century. Although the passage of the Government of India Act of 1935 helped to give it a much more organized form. By creating separate scheduled areas for the tribal people, the British helped to sharpen their social identity and to strengthen the feeling that they had a different political destiny from the other Indians. Most tribal people seem always to have had an ambivalent attitude toward the Hindus under whose shadow they lived. On the one hand, there was a desire to emulate their superior material techniques and more sophisticated cultural forms. On the other, an attitude of suspicion, bitterness, and even hatred toward them on the ground that they were aliens and explorers. The Haus, one of the major tribes of Chota Nagpur, used the word DQ, a corruption of dacoit, meaning brigand, to refer to the Hindus who are their neighbors. In the Chotanagpur area of Bihar, which has a large concentration of tribal people, the Jharkhand Party was organized to put forward the demand for a separate tribal homeland. Pan-tribalism has developed in its own symbols and mythology. The very words used by the tribal people to characterize themselves. Adivasi, original inhabitants, and Adi Majati, original race, have a strong connotation of folk appeal. Attempts have been made to recreate a largely imaginary past in which the purity and vitality of tribal life have not been sapped by aliens from the plains. It is probable that tribal separatism has drawn part of its inspiration from the work of Christian missionaries. A belief current among the tribal people of Chotanagpur is that they are the descendants of one of the lost tribes of Israel. The groupings discussed here have very little correspondence with race in the technical sense of the term, but sociological analysis is concerned not so much with the scientific accuracy of ideas as with their social and political consequences. Physical anthropologists are now gradually coming to discard the term race itself and to use in its place such neutral terms as population or breeding unit. But the sociologist cannot afford the luxury of confining his analysis to value-neutral categories. He must penetrate the core of the fundamental values and categories of a society to reveal their meanings, however vague and contradictory, and to show how they govern and direct social action. Fundamental categories such as race or jati are often inherently ambiguous. This ambiguity enables people to use the idea to invoke different, even conflicting, loyalties in different situations. Thus, it may be invoked to unite Bengali Hindus and Muslims against the Assamese, and in a different historical context to divide Hindus from Muslims in Bengal. Although the word jati has perhaps a wider reference than the English term race, in popular usage, race has a very broad reference indeed. To speak of a Dravida jati would appear to be no more unreasonable than to speak of a Semitic race or a Slavonic race. The idea of an Aryan race has been invoked by political movements in both India and Europe, but ironically, almost diametrically opposite values have been placed on it. The author noted that he tried to keep close to the technical or anthropological meaning of the term race, but this meaning is itself ambiguous and has undergone much change in the last few decades. Many physical anthropologists regard the idea of race as having outlived its utility in scientific analysis. Be that as it may, this idea, however vaguely held, continues to exercise a powerful influence over the human mind. He says, I therefore turn to a consideration of the categories that correspond most closely to race in popular Indian thought. Note, the word jati is derived from jan, meaning to give birth to. All right, my people, that is the end of race and descent as social categories in India, and moving right along to Color in Northern Africa by Leon Carl Brown. I hope that you will stay tuned to Black Living Room Talk for more conversation, stories, and information. More things coming. Please stay tuned. Glad you're here. Peace, love, and light. Hotel.